just do it, man.
to tell us his vision for the future.
Friends, sisters and brothers of the People's Health Movement, it is a great honor for me, having had the unique opportunity of coordinating this most exciting, significant and diverse movement, to try and present some reflections on the Savar to Cuenca journey and the way ahead. In 2004, People's Health Movement organized an independent external evaluation. Because when we get together, we often feel a great high, we have great solidarity, but we sometimes need to have people from outside of our movement to tell us what is really going on and what are the challenges ahead. I will share just two quotations of quotes from this evaluation report. The first, that now in mid-2004, it is safe to begin to describe PHM as a young, strong and growing movement, one that is drawing on a wealth of wisdom, knowledge and experience from around the world, and one that offers hope that social change to improve people's health can become more of a reality. The evaluation report also said the images of the movement are diverse. The idea of joining hands, connecting and working together, and of waves of energy surging and growing were two powerful currents. Above all, PHM is a celebration of diversity, sustaining and maintaining a diverse, flexible, and effective movement that serves as a platform for social change is a challenge that now faces the PHM. I would now like to reflect with you in a very critical way some of our strengths, some of our weaknesses, and I do this because I believe that with the support of all of you who have gathered with such enthusiasm at the Second People's Health Assembly, we have to move forward with confidence, building on our strengths and responding to our weaknesses. The first strength is the fact that the People's Health Charter, which evolved in Dhaka, in Savar, has now been translated into about 50 languages, making it one of the most people-friendly health documents of the world. And we are very happy that there are more and more volunteers who are coming forward to translate this into their own language. And we would request all of you, any of you who know that your language translation has not been done, not to leave the assembly without giving your name to Pamela Zinkin of UK, who has been very, significantly following all these charter translations. The second very important strength has been that there is a large number of case studies from all over the world that shows that People's Health Movement members are involving communities in health-based action. The Charter, as you know, has asked us to empower communities so that they evolve their local solutions. But I must apologize that sometimes our communications and our website are not able to reflect this diversity because much of this community-based action is reported in the local language. The third, a very important strength, and which has made PHM known, has been that so many of you have helped us to go to local, national, regional and international fora and speak for the people on their concerns and their aspirations. The fourth is every year PHM is growing, not by increasing numbers of individuals and NGOs, but growing because more and more networks, campaigns unions, and people's movements are joining in solidarity. So the network and coalition building is moving very well. And finally, I think an important strength is the fact that we now have the maturity to be able to produce our own view of the world's health. And we released the alternative World Health Report, the Global Health Watch. But like all movements, we have our weaknesses, and we now need to tackle those weaknesses very proactively. The first, that many parts of the globe are still not reached. Many PHM circles, we have listed out 80 out of the 90 in which we are present, are still not adequately linked to the community, because we know that for PHM to grow, we have to really derive our strength, our inspiration from community-based action, and communities all over the world, marginalized, socially excluded, must feel that it is they who are contributing to the movement. And that we request and challenge every People's Health Movement circle in every country to ground themselves in this community reality. We also feel inadequate attention has been paid to documentation and communication, because we are still grappling with this rich diversity of languages and expression, and we really feel that the PHM in the years to go ahead must strengthen communication strategies. And finally, I think we have begun the big job of transcending the language barriers. And I must thank the organizers of this PHA2, particularly Arturo and Maria and all their colleagues, for having helped bridge the English-Spanish divide. And we hope as the years go ahead, and we move to the third and the fourth assembly, we'll become much more multilingual, building the alternative world that we so much want to build. There are many opportunities for all of you, and I would request all of you here to go back to your countries. This is just the end of the beginning. For many of you who are involved, this has been sort of like energizing your batteries. For many of you who have heard about People's Health Movement for the first time, I hope that when you go back, and this is very, very important, that you go and share what you saw, what you heard, what you felt, and what you experienced with more and more people around the world. So what are the opportunities for each one of you individually, for you as groups of country circles, for you as networks and campaigns and struggles? Please build more and more links with the wider social movements and campaigns, because we are all together building an alternative world. The second very important is that we would strengthen People's Health Movement if we can bring the energies of the community in synergy with all our action. I was very, very inspired, challenged, surprised, and deeply happy when I saw such a large number of young people in this assembly. As you know, we said at least 25% must be young, but I think we've exceeded that percentage. And therefore, all of us who are not so young as we would like to believe have a major obligation that we harness this enthusiasm, build capacity, and strengthen the enthusiasm of young health activists who are here in such large numbers, because the People's Health Movement is a young movement and will grow with youthful enthusiasm. So I request all of us who are above 30 that we leave this assembly with a major responsibility, that when we meet in Africa, in or whichever continent the steering group decides, the next assembly. So, sorry about letting out a secret, that all of us above 30 should have worked so hard that the next assembly will be 50% people under 30. Another challenge which we have is that we talk about social exclusion, we talk about marginalization, and we talk about health for all, meaning that all these groups who are socially excluded and marginalized by our social, cultural, political, and economic systems must become part of the movement. But I believe we are still talking. We are not walking the talk, as they say. We have to do much more to make sure that indigenous people, people with disabilities, street kids, and every other marginalized group, whether it is poor, Dalit women, all sorts of groups we have. In fact, we listed out about 15 such groups in the Mumbai Declaration. We have to be very, very clear that by the time we meet at the next assembly, all these groups are not still in the margins of the PHM, but are right there in front in all our plenaries and workshops. And I hope we have a long way, a commitment to do that. When you do a SWOT session, as I'm trying to do, talking about strengths and weaknesses and opportunities, you end with threats. But I would not like to call this threats. I would like to call this questions that each of us must put to ourselves as we continue in the movement. Because if we do not address these questions, the movement will not truly be health for all. The first question is that, are we becoming too event and publication oriented rather than promoting community health action? And in this particular case, many people have come and told me that PowerPoint presentations are not the best for community education. And we hope that in the next assembly, we will have more songs and we will have more cultural expressions and more popular education forms in our plenaries and workshops, not out there as floating around as culture. The second thing is we have to adequately address confidently the social and political determinants of health and not allow it to be pushed under the carpet under the names of economics and so on. Health is a political movement, and all of us in this Health for All now are part of a new political force, much beyond political parties and political ideologies, but a people's ideology. So we must look for expressions of our work in terms of social and political action rather than just in terms of techno-managerialism. Finally, not the third question I would like to ask, that each of us goes back to our countries and ask ourselves, does our work, does our going to the assembly, does our work after the assembly really make any difference in people's lives? Is it hot air, or is it really something that we bring? And we hope that when you come back to the third assembly in much larger numbers, you truly bring this confidence. Yes, we are here because our presence in these assemblies and our presence in these movements makes a difference to life of people, the poor, the marginalized and the excluded, back home in our own countries. We have to also ask ourselves, who are we to attend the People's Health Assembly? Are we attending on behalf of the people, or are we the people? And therefore one has to look at our representativeness. The great difference between Savar and Cuenca was that in Savar, a lot of people came as individuals, a lot of people came as small NGOs because they had heard about the assembly. I am thrilled, since I have been coordinating this movement, to see that so many of you here represent networks and coalitions and associations and campaigns. And so that though we may have 1,500 people here, I believe out there, if we added up all the membership of networks, associations, campaigns, there might have been about 50,000 people who, or even maybe 100,000 who have been attending this assembly. And so all of you must go back to your networks, to your associations, to your campaigns, to your coalitions, and report on the assembly, so that it was not all that happened here, but all that will happen through your sharing out there. The last question I would like to ask us, that health is for all, and therefore all of us who are sort of endorsing the Charter from different political, ideological, cultural, economic backgrounds have to be part of the movement. We have to go back to our countries and say, is our PHM country circle truly inclusive? Are there people out there who should be part of the movement, whom we have excluded because of our prejudices, whom we have excluded because of our political ideological strands, whom we have excluded because we believe that we know what is right and the others don't? I believe the movement will die as soon as we do not be as inclusive, because we have to bring everyone into the movement. It's a people's health movement for all. I would like to end by just sharing two dilemmas which was brought out by the external evaluation. And I leave this with you as a thought as you all go back to your own countries. There is a strong tension in the movement between supporting the creation of the democratic spaces where ideas and actions can emerge from the struggles that people are facing on a daily basis in their efforts to improve their health, their families' health, and the health of their communities. And the other need to have some coordinated approaches where unified global action can be stimulated to advocate for change. Both are needed. It is not an either or. One without the other is a recipe for failure and ineffectiveness. Finally, next. A global campaign without participation is meaningless. A powerful local action demand that does not reach policymakers and influence their decisions simply fosters a sense of defeat and despair. As we continue to build the movement, each one of you must continue to act at both levels. This is the challenge before us. Next. Is that the final? Okay. So I hope you will take these challenges, build on our strengths, challenge our weaknesses, and move with great enthusiasm to the people ahead. And on behalf, I would like particularly to record my personal thanks to each one of you as I move towards the end of my own phase of coordinatorship and begin the process to hand over to another region and another coordinator, to thank you all of you who have been so enthusiastic and who have really kept up my motivation to coordinate the movement. Thank you.